a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television for Friday, 10th January 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. What a marvelous, marvelous day to be in the land of the living. We give God thanks for life, for the fresh air that we breathe, and for every opportunity to see our friends, our family, our loved ones, and even to be bringing to you information about things happening in and around the Tobago. Indeed, it is a pleasure to be coming to you, whether you're making your morning coffee this morning, you are in your garden, or getting yourself ready to start your day. It is indeed an honor, and we thank you so much for choosing us and making us your number one choice for morning show here in Tobago. We have a lovely show lined up for you this morning, and we hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming. But before we get into conversations, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Friday, January 10th, 2025. Tobago Division Police report progress in reducing crime following the state of emergency declared on December 30th with significant narcotics and firearm recoveries. ACP Oswin Subero highlighted successful detentions, charges, and operations targeted firearms and narcotics as key priorities for 2025. Plans also includes bolstering resources for tourism-oriented policing units. However, Senior Superintendent Earl Eli raised concerns about youth involvement in crime, with children as young as 12 being recruited by gangs. He stressed the need for stronger community engagement and better parenting to deter young people from criminal activities. Up next, PNM Tobago Council leader Ansel Dennis denied claims of party implosion amid reports of divided MP support for Stuart Young as Dr. Rowley's successor. 11 MPs backed Young, while 9 supported Penelope Beckles. Dennis emphasized the party's democratic process, calling the situation a transitional period with challenges but no instability. He highlighted Rowley's contribution during his 45-year political career and assured that the PNM remains unified, focused on its responsibilities, and prepared for the future. Energy Minister Stuart Young and other members attended discussion at Balisay House to address ongoing party matters. And finally, President Christine Kangaloo was the chief guest for the 18th Paravisa Bharat Divyas Convention in India and received India's highest honor award for non-nationals contributing to the diaspora. In a virtual address, Kangaloo highlighted the Indian diaspora's vital role in Trinidad and Tobago and celebrated the 180-year bond between Trinidad and Tobago and India. She acknowledged the legacy of past honorees from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. The convention, with attendees from over 50 countries, focused on diaspora's contributions and featured initiatives by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Biana, for our news there in 90 seconds. And of course, it's Friday, Biana, and you know when it's Friday here on Tobago Updates Television morning show, yes, we have to talk about what's happening over the weekend. What are your plans in your neck of the woods for this Friday, this first weekend or second weekend, but first official weekend here in January 2025?
Well, I didn't have any plans as such, you know, so we just go into the weekend, get some chores done, and prepare for the week ahead.
All right. For me, there's so many activities taking place where I am concerned, you know, I'll be still in the last leg of celebrating Christmas, you know, and so we definitely still have a lot of events that we want to attend. Invited by somebody for lunch. I had to go and do this and do that, and you know, I'm really looking forward to spending time this weekend with family, friends, and loved ones here on the island of Tobago as we continue, you know, sometimes you just have to slow down down, take a minute, take a breath, and we're still into the beginning of the new year, so we still have time to, kind of think of where you want to be, what you want to do, how you're going to get there. Go through the paces now. So this weekend I'll be spending some time with family, friends, loved ones, church members, just having a relaxing moment before we get into, the pace of what 2025 will demand for us this year. So I do hope whatever you do, you have a wonderful weekend and you're able to get some rest and of course get those chores done.
Yes.
All right, Bianna, thank you so much for being with us on set this morning, and do have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. And we start off the birthday celebrations by saying happy birthday to Recia Tobias. Recia Tobias is celebrating a birthday today, and we want to say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday season. Next is Jason Warner. Jason Warner is also celebrating a birthday today, and Jason, we say happy birthday to you. We do pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday season. My girl, Jeanne Campbell is celebrating a birthday today, and this picture captures the essence of who Jeanne is, a singer and a believer in Jesus Christ, and she has a voice on her. Oh, if you hear that girl, pull a note. I want to say happy birthday to you, my darling sis. I do pray God's blessings upon your life, and I do hope that this year brings you to the place you've been looking for all year long, 2024. So happy birthday to you, my darling. We tried so hard to find a photo this morning, and all the photos I was looking for, they had so many children and, community members around, which really captures the essence of who this celebrant is. Yes, this morning we're celebrating with MP for Tobago West, Miss Shamfa Kojo Lewis. This morning we say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we pray that as you continue to work, that you receive the wisdom from God to do all that you have to do, all that is expected of you. So happy birthday season to you, happy new year, and all that is good. Happy birthday. And of course, if you are celebrating a birthday, you're celebrating an anniversary, a promotion, a retirement, whatever you are celebrating, we here at Tobago Updates Television, we join in the celebrations with you, of course, and we remind you to put God first. Invite him and include him in your celebrations, because he is the reason why you even have anything to celebrate. So, of course, remember to include him. I want to take a time out to say good morning to those of you who are viewing us on our Facebook live stream. Yes, good morning to you far and wide, whether you are on our YouTube channel. We also say good morning to you and on Amplia 102, even if you are right here in Tobago, in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, all of Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, wherever you are. Thank you so much for choosing us this morning and for being a part of the conversation that we will have in studio this morning. Who are we speaking with this morning? Well, you want to stay tuned for our conversations this morning. We start off by speaking with the Honorable Ayanna Webster Roy, Minister responsible for Gender and Child Affairs, and we're talking about human trafficking awareness this morning. And of course, it's Friday, so Mr. Cricket Marcus Daniel will be in studio this morning, and he'll be speaking with Sid Gray and Brent Sancho, former national footballers, and they're talking about the football clinic that is taking place this weekend here on the island of Tobago. So you want to be a part of that conversation? Stay with us now, share the live, tell your friends about us, tell us that we are back up and on stream, and we are bringing conversations to you. In the meantime, who's up next? Up next, we have yes, the Honorable Ayanna Webster Roy. She is in studio and ready to have the conversation this morning. So be a part of it. Tell all your neighbors, tell all your friends, and share the live. Share the live. Share the live. We'll be right back.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Attention, members of TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Are you ready to take the next step and help shape your credit union's future? This is your chance to get involved. We're now accepting nominations for elections at our 75th Annual General Meeting 2025. Open positions include spots on the Supervisory Committee, the Board of Directors, and the Credit Committee. Nomination packages are available on our website www.twcu.co.tt, or you can pick one up at our Port of Spain or Tobago offices. The completed forms can be dropped off at the said offices or emailed to nominations@twcu.co.tt no later than January 17th, 2025 at 3 p.m. For more information, visit our website at www.twcu.co.tt. Don't miss this opportunity to make a difference. Apply today and guide the future of your credit union. TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Our credit union, one family.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Ho ho! Delta Distributors Christmas special is here. Choose from our special meat packages at unbelievable prices. Ho ho! Perfect for your holiday feasts. Hurry! Limited stocks. Order now. 11 pounds chicken, 5 pounds pork, 5 pounds turkey, 1 picnic ham, 1 liter pear jacks, only $500. Ho ho! Order now at deltechdistributors.com. Call or WhatsApp 359-5040 or 237-0102. Only $20 delivery or come into our main road Argyle store. Ho ho!
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. I am Adana Kumbi, and we begin conversations this morning in studio. Very, very important conversation, and we do hope that you are locked in, that you can be a part of this conversation, have the information and the awareness as it relates to human trafficking. We're speaking with the Honorable Ayanna Webster Roy. Yes, she is in studio this morning, and we're going to have this very, very important conversation. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Adana, and let me take this opportunity to wish you all the best for 2025 as well as the rest of Trinidad and Tobago. May God continue to guide us and take us safely through this year.
Thank you so much, and the very same is extended to you as well in all your endeavors, all that you are doing. And again, congratulations in your successful screening. And of course, we're going to have this conversation this morning, and I think a topic that is not necessarily widespread in Trinidad and Tobago. While it happens, a lot of persons are not aware of what human trafficking is and what the status is in Trinidad and Tobago and how it impacts the lives of persons living here. So we're going to get straight into the conversation. Are you able to say what the status is in terms of persons being affected by human trafficking?
Human trafficking is not just an issue that is prevalent in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a global issue that affects the lives of many. Fortunately for us in Trinidad and Tobago, we were recently upgraded in terms of our status. We are now at Tier 2 based on the trafficking in person reports coming out of the United States Department of State. And we are working diligently to get into Tier 1, where it would show that we are at a place where we have all the mechanisms in place to reduce instances of human trafficking. But in our context, Adana, what we see is persons often end up in our territory because they are trafficked here.
And when people think about human trafficking, most times the mind goes to women being trafficked for sexual exploitation. But there are instances when children are trafficked into the country as well. There are instances where persons are trafficked because human slavery is still real. And in all contexts in Trinidad and Tobago, what we've recognized is that more and more we are seeing where persons are coming into the country, mostly from the South American countries, and unfortunately, the statistics would show it's mostly women and girls entering into the country. And unfortunately, when they enter into the country, they're being exploited, ending up in brothels and things like that. One of the things that the government would have been doing in collaboration with various state agencies as well as civil society organizations and international development partners is heightening our efforts in terms of public education and sensitization. So I want to commend you and your channel for what you're doing today, making the public aware that it is prevalent, it is real, it is happening within our borders, and that we need an all hands on deck and all of society approach in terms of addressing instances of human trafficking. Even though as government we might say, yes, we moved up, we are tier 2 and it's cause a celebration, the fact that we are having to work towards reaching tier 1 means that we have a problem, and we need all of Trinidad and Tobago to work towards ensuring that we eradicate this social issue. If I may share with you, even though the Ministry of National Security Counter-Trafficking Unit is the government's focal point treating with human trafficking, some years ago at the Gender and Child Affairs Division of the Office of the Prime Minister, we recognized that while the focus would have been placed on the persons who are the victims, that we also need to focus on those persons who are the clients. So we would have partnered with the counter-trafficking unit as well as some of the agencies within the oil and gas industry. And we had a project we called Project Sarah, where we were bringing information to those communities bordering the Southland in Trinidad and those communities that were involved heavily in the oil and gas industry, and working alongside the men, showing them how paying somebody who might have come into the country for sexual favors could affect you, could affect your community, could affect your family, could affect the economy, and ultimately could affect the social stability of Trinidad and Tobago. So Project Sarah would have gone into those communities, into those business places, providing information predominantly to men, showing them how they could become part of the response instead of being a client, and helping to nurture an illegal business that is affecting lives, how you can become an advocate. Lend your voice, help us to reduce instances, because when you look at it, sex trafficking is a form of gender-based violence. Help to become a part of the quest towards eradicating gender-based violence in Trinidad and Tobago. And our intention is to continue partnering with the counter-trafficking unit and other agencies to ramp up our efforts so that we help to not only end gender-based violence, but also reduce instances of human trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, in the global community.
You know, you're talking about Project Sarah, and you're telling me about, you know, having that conversation with the clients. How is that going? Because I'm thinking, if this is a lucrative business and this is something you're into, I know you're turning them from a client. This is like transitioning from a client to an advocate. This must be a difficult task. So what has the response been like where that is concerned?
When we rolled out Project Sarah, I must say the support that we would have received from the companies would have been tremendous. And the feedback from those males who would have participated was promising. And what we try to show is that, yes, it might be a few moments of pleasure, but look on the wider impact. A few moments of pleasure may expose you to sexually transmitted infections. And if we are talking about having a Trinidad and Tobago that is able to achieve our global mandate in terms of ending AIDS by 2030, you have a role to play. We talk about the impact on your pocket, because every time you pay for a few moments of pleasure, it's taking away money that could go towards minding your children, paying off a bill. So it's trying to let them make the connection, the link between the behavior and how it impacts not only their personal life, but the wider community, the family life especially. Because when some of these persons end up in our territory and then they become integrated, they they come with all the baggage, and we have to support them in getting to a better state. So when I say all the baggage, the economic needs, the health needs that we have to cater to. So money going towards money that is being channeled towards helping someone who might have come into the country, trafficked or otherwise, with a sexually transmitted infection, and then having to treat that person because they end up in the public health system. That is money that could have gone towards treating a citizen. And then talk about the children who end up in the country who might have been trafficked in, and they're here without any adult supervision, and they end up in the sites of the state through national security, or sometimes through the course they may end up being placed at St. Jude's, because that's where we have the facility where we facilitate migrant girls in Trinidad and Tobago. Thankfully, when the girls end up at St. Jude's, they don't stay for long, because efforts are made working alongside the various embassies and so on to get them to go back into their home country to get the relevant support, and they have that family system for them. As well as one of the measures we have taken to ensure that children who are trafficked in the country, if there are options for them to be repatriated, to be sent back home, that we have persons who may, if it's a Spanish-speaking persons of that community who may be able to help us in terms of fostering them and giving them that family-type setting. But what I want to stress, treating with human trafficking, similarly to treating with gender-based violence, it doesn't require just the state to intervene. That is where civil society is so important, because much of the public education and sensitization that is required, sometimes government may not be able to do it consistently. So that is why we need to empower the NGOs, give them the funding, the support, the technical support, the financial support to get into the communities, get down to the grassroots level, and to continue the education and sensitization to change mindset and ultimately change behavior. So that is what we're working towards.
And you know, that was leading to my next question in terms of public education, because this is a topic. When you're talking about different TAs, you're talking about different clients, you're talking about different agencies. It's a lot of information to having a 20-minute conversation. It's not possible at all. And for me, once you have the information, the education for me is very, very important. So I was going to ask, what is the plan in terms of a public education drive on a consistent basis to ensure the average man on the street understands what human trafficking is, the vulnerable age groups, what to look for, how can I contribute to reduce this, and of course to get us to that tier 1, because we want to be in a position where, listen, we are clean.
Yes.
We are clean in Trinidad and Tobago, and we do not tolerate or accept this type of behavior. So there must be some type of aggressive public education on a continuous basis. And I'm talking about collaboration, not just with state agencies, as you mentioned, but also with corporate T&T, all the NGOs. What is that looking like in terms of getting them on board to agree, listen, we really need to do this to get this done, because we really want to present a place. I mean, you want to present a place that is safe. Let's say, for instance, okay, people are trafficked into Trinidad and Tobago. It's hardly likely that people might be trafficked out. You don't know. But perhaps
it could be happening, and we're just not getting the information and the data to show that it is prevalent in terms of persons being trafficked out of Trinidad and Tobago. So let me give you a joke. I'll get to your answer in terms of what we're doing in public education and sensitization. I remember there was a time a lot of young girls were being kidnapped. You remember that? They were just disappearing. And I was having a conversation with my personal assistant in the vehicle. And I said to her, I said, we're not finding some of them. We're not finding them find anything. And she said to me, Minister, ever thought about maybe they're being taken out of Trinidad and Tobago? And it was hard for me to wrap my head around. But I was looking at a show recently, and this is so profound. And it was about young persons on social media trying to find opportunities for themselves. So some wanted to be models, some wanted to get into the music industry, and they were responding to ads. Unwittingly responding to these ads that was taking them to a place where they were being kidnapped and then trafficked out of their country. And she said to me, she said, Minister, remember that movie you was telling me about? She said, it could be happening here in Trinidad and Tobago as well, where sometimes we see these ads on the papers, meet at some nondescript location, and then when you really look into it, it's not really a legitimate business. The location might not be a legitimate business place, and girls turn up and then they disappear. But I don't want to frighten anybody. I want to reassure Trinidad and Tobago that there's been continuous effort by the state to work alongside corporate Trinidad and Tobago, as well as civil society organizations, NGOs, to continue the messaging. Very often I will put on my radio when I'm in Trinidad, or the television when I'm in Tobago, because I don't get good signal in Goodwood. And I would hear the stories about the ladies talking with the Spanish accent. And I was brought into your country, and they're talking about it, and then you have the information at the end, if you are aware what to do, who to contact. And what I want to tell persons that we all have to be part of the response. That little ad, pay attention. Don't just listen for the comments to hear when she's saying that the money, I don't get any of it because my handler, just don't listen for the comments. Listen for the information at the end where it tells you who to contact. I want to encourage those civil society organizations that have been out there working alongside grassroots people, grassroots organizations, working alongside communities, bringing the information to continue to reach out for support. I know at times the funding may be difficult to come by, but we have always found creative ways to help to meet the needs of the organization. So, for example, under the Spotlight initiative that would have happened in the past, I remember a number of NGOs in Tobago would have received support to roll out work in the communities. And under Spotlight, Tobago was one of the focal communities, as well as Mayaro, as well as another community in Trinidad. And in all instances, I remember Spotlight focused on ending gender-based violence and protecting women and girls in families. In all instances, I'm positive because I was the main lead for the nation. Instances of work being done to address issues around human trafficking would have been included because we saw the connection, the nexus between gender-based violence and human trafficking. Again, I want to encourage parents to teach our children to be savvy when it comes to being online, to be smart, because a lot of persons fall into traps going online, engaging with persons who may be profiling them and monitoring them and finding weak spots to get an entryway to get their children and to take them away. I want to encourage women that whenever we are going out to maybe respond to ads or opportunities for employment, to inform someone else. Let us set up our own little circles of hope and circles of protection so that we could know that, okay, you're going to Dana, you're going to an ad, you let me know, and I could be monitoring you. Just in the car coming down here this morning, I was having a conversation with my assistant in the constituency office and my brother. And we were talking about Life 360, how we use it to safeguard each other. And I said, now that my children are at an age where they want to party, that gives me a measure of comfort. Because we know, okay, as seeing Kiona walking down Pigeon Point, I know she's in the Fed still. Or my daughter is a national athlete, so sometimes she's in Trinidad on her own. I could monitor her through Life 360. Okay, she's in a ride share now. She's at the training ground. Let us start using the technology to help us to monitor and support each other. But most importantly, to share information, to communicate. If you see something suspicious happening in your community, you notice a strange van coming in every night, you're seeing ladies coming in, you're not seeing them in the day, but you might see them in the night, ask a question. Then we're using macroing skills to something good. And if you ask a question and you feel uncomfortable that you might become targeted, call 800 tips. You know, call the police. Tell somebody else and let them start to investigate, because what we want is for all of us to become agents in combating this very real issue. And I want us to know it's not just a Trinidad and Tobago thing, it's a global issue. The United States, while they may be the one reporting on countries, they are grappling with this, and their statistics are very startling as well.
You know, you said a lot there, and you know, I really want our viewers to pay attention. There are quite a few things I want you to pick up. One, parents, we have a responsibility. Remember, we always say on this channel, it takes a village, and the village has to come together. The community has to come together. We have to be alert, and we have to be in people's business in a positive way. You know, and you did say that, you said that we must report. We must tell somebody where you're going. You're going by the shop. I'm going by the shop. If it usually takes you 5 minutes to come back from the shop and 10 minutes go on and you're not back, call the person. You know, we really have to be our brother's keeper, and we have to pay attention to the information that is out there, coming out of the ministries, all the government agencies, and all the other agencies who are collaborating against this, on this fight against human trafficking here in Trinidad and Tobago. The ministries are working. We need to get the information. We need to get on board, and we need to partner and ensure that our spaces are clean, not just because they are imported into Trinidad and Tobago. You never can tell. Somebody from right home by you can be extracted into another country and trafficked for all kind of things that you don't want to even think about. So let us be very, very vigilant. Minister, in closing, is there any additional information you'd like to share with our viewers?
I would like to encourage persons to do what I did last night. When I reached out to Minister of National Security to understand more of what is happening, he told me, he said to go to the United States Department of State website and to search up the TIPS report. You can look to see what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, but you could also get a global context. And then it will put things into perspective. When you understand as persons are trafficked for harvesting of human organs. Persons are trafficked into different countries to work as slaves. Persons are trafficked into different countries to be sexually exploited. And when we talk about sexual exploitation, not just women and girls, sometimes young boys, little boys are trafficked as well. And that information will be a wake-up call. So I want to encourage everyone to take the opportunity to go onto the website and to read the various reports and see what is happening globally, and make a conscious effort to see how you could become part of the response. You could become part of the fight to make a safer Trinidad and Tobago, but also a safer global community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Minister, for coming here this morning and sharing that information. A really engaging conversation. I really enjoyed having this chat with you this morning. And viewers, I do hope you were able to pick up all the information that was shared there. And of course, the advice to go on the website to get more information. You can even contact local ministries right here in Trinidad and Tobago that will guide you through where you can get more information and how you can be a part of this fight against human trafficking here in Trinidad and Tobago. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio. And remember, when we come back, Mr. Cricket, Marcus Daniel is in studio. He's going to take you through all that's happening in sport here on the island of Tobago for the weekend. And I'm telling you, exciting things are happening. And he might tell me, Adana, let me do my show now, please, because I'm excited for what is happening this weekend. Yes. But in the meantime, we invite all of you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Hi viewers, welcome back to Tobago Updates Television morning program. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Today, the 10th of January. Yes, we're into the new year. Let me say Happy New Year to each and everyone, and welcome to the first sporting show for the year. Wishing everyone happy New Year, and of course all the best for 2025. And of course, my first guest for 2025. I'm very pleased to be here this morning, and in fact honored to be in the presence of royalty. And of course, one of my guests this morning, they have a facility here in Tobago named after them, Mr. Sid Gray. And of course, we have a former Minister of Sport and of course, soccer warrior, Mr. Brent Sancho. Let me say good morning to you guys, and thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning. Well, I'm not from Tobago, so I have no facility named after me in Trinidad. You with real royalty here.
Yeah, that's
Good morning, Mr. Daniel.
Good morning, good morning. Guys, I'm seeing in the public domain that we have good things happening here tomorrow with former soccer warriors, players, and a clinic where young people can be a part of. I mean, just to share with the Tobago public, about this initiative. Brent, I'll go with you first.
Well, first of all, it starts today. Actually, we are going to do a tour with the schools. Of course, it's all in conjunction with the police department here in Tobago and the THA. They've come up with a terrific initiative to assist in their crime fighting measures, utilizing sports as the medium to get to young people. So it starts today where we're going to visit the various schools to get the kids to come out tomorrow in the clinic, and then we take on the police in the afternoon, as they say, with soccer warriors, the likes of Stern John, of course, Sid Gray's here, Anton Wolf, and the list goes on and on and on. Right. And, I must congratulate for the initiative, because at the end of the day, we've seen so many parts of the world where sports is utilized as part of that medium to break down those barriers. And of course, in the police department here in Tobago have not only talked the talk, but they walk the walk to make sure that something like this comes up. Of course, all of this takes part in Shore Park tomorrow from 3 p.m. Where the clinic, as I said, many of the former players are coaches now, and of course could lend their insight today in the various schools, just to talk to the young people. And of course they would recognize that many of us would have had very similar pathways or similar beginnings as they have. So just to implore them to obviously go down the right path, as they say.
And you mentioned many of the former players are now coaches.
Yes.
And we now have one who is the national coach, which being Dwight York.
Yes.
Can we expect to see him a part of this initiative as well?
Well, he's still, they are preparing for their game. They have a friendly coming up against Jamaica, so we're not sure that he would be.
Which date is that though?
February 6th. I hope I learn how the cat on the bag.
February 6th. In Trinidad and Tobago?
No, it's in Jamaica.
It's in Jamaica.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jamaica.
Okay.
But obviously, Stern John is the St. Lucia team head coach
as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Anton Wolf does some coaching as well, and a lot of the guys as well. But I think really to interact with the kids. And I think any of the kids that come at 3 p.m. tomorrow will get that opportunity. And sometimes it's just having that conversation with somebody that has traveled that road. That could be an inspiration for them.
And tell me about, because you mentioned it starts today. Who are some what the schools that you're going to be visiting today? And let's give me an idea of the rollout of the.
Well, basically we are trying to go at. Yeah, I believe we are looking at 8 schools, but we are more looking at the schools that are mostly that we see that give some of the trouble, like Roxborough Secondary, Mason, all. And I don't want to.
Schools, we
are going to primary schools as well. But I don't want to say trouble, but
I understand there's a stigma attached.
Yeah, stigma attached to them, but we are just trying to uplift them to another level.
So it's a conversation you guys are going to have. No football coaching today. Tomorrow is going to be the clinic. And today is just a conversation.
Yes, conversation with the students.
Yeah. And how does it feel for you, Sid? I mean, because you're from Roxborough, right? I mean, I'm thinking this is the first time you are doing something similar, well, something like this initiative, in terms of going back to the schools where you would have started. I mean, tell me about that internal feeling for you.
No, well, actually, this is not the first time I've actually going back to the school. I've went back to the school and speak to some of the students before, but this is the first time I'm doing it with the TTPS.
Is it right?
So when they ask me to partner with them to do this, I jump at it without even thinking. I think this was a no-brainer, and to give back and to show the children in Tobago as well that I maybe was part of a society that wasn't there for me because I didn't have a father really growing up. Yes, me and my father is good, but my mother really keep me under her wings. But just to show that you can follow the right path and be a success in life.
Yeah, fantastic. And then let's jump to tomorrow. You mentioned that you start at 3 p.m. at Shore Park. Let's take me through to that afternoon into the night.
Yeah, we're asking parents to bring the young ones in from roughly 3 p.m. We hope to start at 3 p.m. so bring them in before. We teach the kids the basic as it relates to the sport, but we're more so trying to get the interaction between the kids and ourselves and some of the players. As I was saying, it really is important, and Sid alluded to it. It's important that these kids understand that we have similar beginnings as them, and we have found ways, the players that have gone on to play national team football, to be a success and being that way. So maybe they could take something from how we were able to get to where we got to through that conversation, and sometimes that sparks something in a young person's mind, because experiences in life could guide you into, to help you to guide you into the right pathway. So that's what we're really hoping. Yes, the football is good.
Yes.
Looking forward to interacting with the kids, but I think more so we're looking forward to hopefully inspiring a young person.
And it's all free to the public.
Correct. Very, very much free. Extremely free. So you should come out and be part of it.
I wish I had the police here this morning as well, because I saw in the media that they have all been called back to work. Because obviously we are in a state of emergency. I mean, any fear that they may not show up tomorrow?
No. To me, this is all part of it. And yes, this is part
of the fantastic.
To me, this is all part of the initiative, all part of the crime fighting initiative, all part of breaking down barriers.
Fantastic,
so I look forward to having them aboard. And as Sid rightfully said, I am so happy that the TTPS have gone down this road, because sometimes you see the other side of it.
Yeah.
You see the other side of crime fighting, which is is sometimes, you know, a little bit on that. But this is, I think this have a similar sort of impact if we utilize it a bit more. And that is breaking down the barriers, because at the end of the day, when they go back into these communities and they recognize that they are human beings just like all of us, and then you build that relationship, I think it would help in all of the ills that society
I call it community policing. And
correct.
I think that's something exactly that we really need to get back to. I mean, so you guys, are you guys, you know, the body ready for the contest tomorrow?
I heard that between IADEX and somebody sprays it, they'll be out there in full legion tomorrow.
Because yesterday said actually for WD-40. What's my thing?
We had a sweat about 2 weeks ago, and you gonna need more than WD-40. I see mechanics little off.
I'm looking forward to it. And the match is obviously a full 90 minutes.
I hope not.
Fantastic initiative. I mean, I'm seeing the TTPS folks are here, and I want to get them in as well on the conversation, because as you mentioned, this is part of the crime fighting initiative and the apparatus that the Commissioner of Police would have actually spoken about in this whole SOE scheme of things, in getting into the communities and getting the youngsters. I mean, Brent Sancho household name, Sid Gray household name, I'm sure the other soccer warriors like Sterling John coming here. A number of persons from Tobago will want to be there tomorrow and be a part of that particular clinic. So Sterling, Brent and Sid, any departing words before I get the TTPS in on the conversation?
I just think, again, congratulate the TTPS for this initiative. And I'm hoping, I know Tobago to support, so I didn't have to ask them to come out. So that is not part of our party. But I think this is a terrific initiative, and I really hope it's something that spreads out, not just here in Tobago, but also in Trinidad, because I think we need something like this nationwide.
Hey, fantastic. Sid?
Well, actually, from the registration that Brent, I have to say, we have a lot of children coming out. I know we have at least over 100 and something children already to deal with tomorrow.
And strictly Tobagonians.
Strictly Tobagonians. And I hope the TTPSN arrest us tomorrow. Well, you see, the point is they are trying to get us tired, so they're giving us this long journey.
I am more concerned about the hospital, you know.
But I think we have a strategy for them, because I know the TTPS has been training for the last month. I hear they didn't take any Christmas. So, and we had Christmas, so we had to be careful tomorrow. We had to use weights on them. So that's why we work with extra. Oh, sorry.
Fantastic, guys, and go well. I should be there tomorrow as well, not as a player, but as a spectator and observer. I'm going to lend my voice to the whole initiative. But guys, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best today. Of course, take all the pictures and share with the wider community about the initiative that you guys will start today and, of course, tomorrow. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Marcus.
We'll take a short break. I'm going to come back with the folks from the TTPS. But don't forget to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago, here I come. It's Brent Sancho, former 2006 World Cup player in Germany. Myself and the rest of the Soca Warriors are coming to Tobago. Yes, you heard it right. This Saturday, 11th of January, Shore Park, from 3 p.m. the action starts. We have a free clinic for all the kids across the island in Tobago to come on down. You're going to learn a bunch of skills, interact, Q&A, and all the action starts from 3 p.m. And at 6 p.m., the Soca Warriors take the field to come up against the police service of Tobago. We're looking forward to it. This action is brought to you by the THA and, of course, the Tobago Division of Police over in Tobago. So, yes, that's correct. Saturday, 11th of January, in Shore Park, Tobago, the Soca Warriors will be there, starting from 3 p.m. in action, and the clinic is free. Looking forward to seeing you guys in beautiful Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to
Attention, members of TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Are you ready to take the next step and help shape your credit union's future? This is your chance to get involved. We're now accepting nominations for elections at our 75th Annual General Meeting 2025. Open positions include spots on the Supervisory Committee, the Board of Directors, and the Credit Committee. Nomination packages are available on our website www.twcu.co.tt, or you can pick one up at our Port of Spain or Tobago offices. The completed forms can be dropped off at the said offices or emailed to nominations@twcu.co.tt no later than January 17th, 2025 at 3 p.m. For more information, visit our website at www.twcu.co.tt. Don't miss this opportunity to make a difference. Apply today and guide the future of your credit union. TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Our credit union, one family.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
Okay, viewers, welcome back, and thank you so much for staying tuned to Tobago Updates Television into the sporting segment, and we continue the conversation. This big match on tomorrow, and at the Shore Park Recreational Ground, big match and clinic. We have some former soccer warriors in Tobago conducting a clinic. And of course, that will be followed by a big match versus the TTPS Tobago division. On set now, we have Mr. Goom Duke and Mrs. Matthew Goom. Goom Matthew. Oh my gosh, Miss Goom Duke. My goodness.
Goom Matthew.
Miss Goom Matthew. I don't know what Duke came in there.
My auntie.
And of course, we have Mr. Maurice Gaddad, the officers here in Tobago. Good morning, guys, and Happy New Year to you.
Thanks, and same to you.
And of course, my apologies on the name mix up there.
That's fine, that's fine. It's all the same family.
It's all the same family.
Right.
Fantastic. I mean, before you guys came in, we had Brent Sancho and Mr. Sid Gray talking about this initiative, and I heard from Brent and Sid about their part in this whole initiative in terms of the football and clinic and stuff. Tell me about the TTPS part in this whole initiative.
Right. So what we are looking to do is to bring back that spirit of community that we once had in Tobago. And so our officers are going to be there in the clinic as well.
All the officers from Tobago?
No, not all the officers. Not all the officers. We don't want the commissioner coming for us. Right? But some of the officers will be there as well to assist the team with the clinic, as well as we will be meeting with the parents.
Oh, fantastic.
So while the parents are waiting, we'll be having a discussion with them about, their kids, about parenting and stuff. We have a psychologist that will be coming in, Miss Danielle, and she runs a parenting program. So she's partnering with us as well, so that we can start to get an idea from the parents, what are the needs of the children, what are some of the things or some of the ways in which the TTPS can help to impact these young people's lives.
Fantastic. And in terms of age group, what age group are you looking at to attend?
From age 4 to 18.
Wow. And it's all free. So
all free.
A man like titty and thing you're interested in, kind
of? Not this round.
Not this round.
Not this round.
But based on stats, you feel that between 4 and 18, impressionable minds, this is the catchment area that you want to get to more.
Yes, yes.
And I'm sure that you guys would have been doing your groundwork in terms of ensuring that you have a full turnout tomorrow at Short Park Recreational Ground.
Yes, we have over 100 and something kids registered.
Right.
I would like to say that even though the registration link is closed, persons can still come. We will not turn anyone away. Come, we have registration on the day as well.
Yeah, and was it difficult to lock down the former Soccer Warriors players like Brent Sancho, Sid Grano? I mean, these guys are very busy. Like Sterling John as well. He's the head coach of St. Lucia. And what about our homeboy? I mean, any opportunity that you guys could have had him to come? But I know Brent mentioned that he's now preparing for a friendly against Jamaica. I'm talking about Dwight York.
Right.
You had any conversation there to try to get him as well?
We spoke with Sid,
right.
Mr. Gray, to see if he could be a part of it. But, you know, we understand his commitments, his national commitments. But getting the Socceroos to be a part of it was seamless. As a matter of fact, I just walked up to Mr. Gray and I said, this is who I am, and this is what we're going to do. And he said, okay. And we exchanged numbers, and it's been seamless from there.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean, I know Goddard, I know you as supreme when it comes to goalkeeping. And I mean, I'm sure that you are all ready for that match against the Soccer Warriors tomorrow.
As could be.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, it was 2006. I think that's the year we qualified for the World Cup. And seeing the likes of Brent and Dwight and all them fellas playing on television and of course inspiring the nation. How does it feel now, your officer, that you can contribute to this whole initiative playing against these guys?
The thing is, it's not the first time I'm playing against them or with them. Right. We've had different tournaments and different initiatives like this that we've played together and against each other. The thing about it is that I think it'll be a great experience again, and especially at this time where crime is where we actually focusing on. You know, to see people come out from different communities, and as Brent would have said earlier, many of us came from a background that we were poor, or you could say dirt poor, you know, a single parent, grandparents, but look how we turn out, so other people could do it too, you know. So I believe it's good, and it's good to hear the stories, and we could share our stories, so other kids and even parents could see that there is a way beside crime.
What would be your message tomorrow? Because obviously you're going to be interacting with the participants tomorrow. What is going to be your most important message to the youngsters tomorrow?
My important message tomorrow is that sports is a vehicle, not only football, but sports is a vehicle to greatness, to changing the way of life, and also listen to your parents, you know, and if the advice doesn't sound as it should, seek advice from someone else, not necessarily your peers, but some other adult that might have a different view that could take you forward.
And Ms. Duke, I mean, I'm sure you guys are led by stats, right? Certainly, this situation where young people are deviant in a particular way, you know, can you like say pinpoint what's the main cause or some of the root causes to young people? I mean, long ago when they have Saturday, Sunday, we watching cartoon, or we going on the beach and looking for some coconut tree or some cane patch somewhere. What has caused the change in the mindset of our young people?
I would say the introduction of social media.
Right.
That period where the kids were at home and had unlimited access to devices, as well as there has been a breakdown over time in parenting, in values, in our value system. It started in small increments, and now this is where we're at, right? Where we have kids 12 and 13 doing TikTok videos, illicit TikTok videos and stuff like that, you know, where we're in a society now where we capitalize on monetizing everything, right? So everybody wants to be a YouTuber now. Everybody wants to be a TikToker and
content creator.
A content creator, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
However, what we are saying is there needs to be a balance, and somehow the balance has shifted over time, and where we are at a point now where there is a lack of accountability, a lack of respect, and just a general breakdown.
Yeah.
Right? There was a time we were having a conversation about when we were younger. You know, you couldn't be in school in your uniform after a certain time.
Yeah, and I was actually telling some friends, I mean, just yesterday, in fact, long ago, growing up in the community, from the time I see a police jeep or something looking like a police jeep, I run in because I had that fear for police, and I think the fear was also respect as well.
Right.
But now men running into police,
right?
You know, so there is no longer that fear factor when it comes to the officers, and I'm hoping that somewhere along the line in initiatives just like this one, we can get back that not fear, but a respect for authority, people in authority, and I'm hoping that, you know, I'm sure this is not going to be a one-off initiative. We're going to have more.
It's not. We're going to have more initiatives like this, not just for sport, but we're looking at a holistic picture.
Yeah.
We're looking into the arts, as well. You know, music plays a big role as well. Gone are the days where, you know, you would sing under the sycamore tree and it would just be that, a song, right?
Yeah.
No, when they're singing under the sycamore tree, they mean we are under the sycamore tree,
oh my gosh,
right?
For real.
So we want to incorporate music, get some of our artists in as well to talk to the young people, for us to understand that there is a pattern.
Yeah.
There, everything has its place, and yes, we glorify getting the money now, and being able to buy the big Benz and the Beamer and stuff like that, and the bust down rollies and all these things. However, if you don't know math, your accountant could go away with all your money. If you don't know English, how are you going to be able to pen your lyrics
and articulate? Yes,
right? So, you know, we want to help our young people to understand that there are steps, and we don't want you to skip those steps. Enjoy the steps.
Yeah, I understand that. And before I let you guys go, I mean, Mr. Goddard, in terms of success, what will be success for you coming out of this whole initiative?
Well, success for me coming out of this whole initiative is to make sure that parents understand what is happening, because we could sit and talk about it all the time, and remember when we were growing up, it was hard work and also that discipline and respect for others. Now it's what I can have regardless of how I have it and who I disrespect. And an example is that you go to a professional club and they tell you have the ability, that's why you're here. We have the money to pay you, so that's why you're here. But your attitude is what's going to take you or break you. And we have to instill these kind of values in our children and also the parents, because they are the teachers.
So part of the requirement when you're signing up, the parents, they can't just come and drop your child off and just go, because we like to do that, you know. They have to stay there.
Yes.
Right. Fantastic.
It's only 2 hours. Come. We want to hear from the parents as well. We want to get to know you, get to know your children some more, get to know, you know, what are some of the challenges you are having with parenting, because parenting doesn't come with a handbook.
It's not easy. I have 3 kids.
Right.
Yes, I know that. I mean, they look at me as a role model as well, and I have to be at a particular standard to ensure that, you know, we don't have, you know, any kind of deviant behavior, because if you embed it at an early stage, you're in trouble in a particular way. So I commend the TTPS for this initiative, because I always believe that it starts in the community, and if you can't get control of the community, you're gonna have chaos island-wide, countrywide in that sense, you know. So commendation to the TTPS, and of course congratulations also, you know, to the Tobago Tobago division of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. I mean, I know that we are in an SOE, and the commissioner would have called for all officers to return from their vacation to be back out to help fight this scourge that we have going on in this country. Not what we need as a beautiful country, Trinidad and Tobago. Just before you go again, this final details. We start at 3, and what time are you looking to end the wrap up at Shore Park?
So we start at 3 with the clinic. The clinic would end by 5 p.m.
Right.
And then we invite persons to stay because the match starts at 6 p.m.
Right.
Just a little note with regards to the parking.
Right.
We're asking persons to park at the bottom of the hill by the Scarborough Side car park there, because we want to ensure ease of access for the services to be able to get in and out of Shore Park.
And if not, because that can only hold like about what, 20 cars?
20 cars,
because
right.
Normally when you have events at Shore Park, we normally try to partner with the complex. Once there isn't an event there, that's a Shore Park Cultural Complex.
Right.
Has a bigger car park, and then they probably come in at the top gate.
Right, and come through. Right.
Because there's always a situation with parking down at Shore Park. Once you park on the roadway, only one direction traffic can flow, and you have
right.
a bottleneck situation there. But I'm hoping that you guys have a wonderful turnout tomorrow. We'll have good weather, and we have a successful event where we can impact the young people and the parents of young people. And don't forget live streaming from Tobago Updates, our courtesy holistic physical therapy services is going to be live on Tobago Updates. But we want you guys to be there in person. I'm sure that you guys have refreshments. Concessionaires will be there selling stuff as well.
Yes.
Fantastic. Any final word before you go?
I would just like to encourage people to come out. I think also I would like to commend our senior soup, Mr. Eli, and also our ACP, Mr. Sabero, for supporting this initiative. Actually, it's the brainchild of the superintendent.
Fantastic.
And nobody knew that there was going to be a SOE.
Yes.
And he had this, and then it fell right in place. So God don't make mistakes, Marcus.
Yeah, fantastic. Just in time. Guys, thank you so much again for being here. And again, commendation on the initiative, and I wish you all the best today and tomorrow. Viewers, thank you so much for staying tuned to Tobago Updates Television Sports this morning. I'm going to hand you guys over to Mr. Luke James Trim for Good Morning Tobago. Yes. Continue to have yourselves a wonderful day. You can take a short break, but don't forget, share the live, share the live, share the live.
Another episode of Autocorrect. This is Friday the 3rd of January. It's a beautiful day. Today is actually my daughter's birthday as well. So it's a beautiful day in January, and we over into the new year. The last time we spoke was on Monday, and so we have crossed over successfully into 2025. So happy new year, cheers to a new year. And I want to do this episode of Autocorrect differently. We have been getting quite a lot of engagement as the videos are posted online, and as we are engaging through the local television stations, primarily Tobago Updates and Tobago Channel 5. And so this morning I've asked the crew that is behind the camera to pull live some of the questions from me and to simply ask the questions as they pop up across the screen, as they are sent in the messages, so that I can answer some of your burning questions, some of your concerns, some of the misconceptions you might have about this autonomy conversation. And I pledge that ever so often we'll pause the regular schedule to actually stop and answer your questions, because we have staff that and they are diligently going through the questions every time you ask, so that we can take copious notes and we can address them, because you too are part of this autonomy conversation. You know, the Chief Secretary is talking to himself. And in this new year, 2025, I intend to bring guests onto the show, although it's 5 to perhaps 7 minutes thereabout, just want to talk about some of the pressing issues. So it won't just be the voice of the Chief Secretary that you will hear. In future episodes, we'll find a way to go and target our fisher folk, or farmers, or housewives, or teachers, or doctors, or professionals, just regular Tobagonians, so we can hear from Tobagonians how they truly feel about this autonomy question. So I'll ask Ms. Chambers, who is behind the camera today, to just, as the questions are popping up, to just share some of the questions, and I'll see how I can answer them rapid fire for you. Chambers, Happy New Year, girl. How things?
Happy New Year to you as well, Chief. So one of the questions people have been asking, what role will Tobago have in national decision making under autonomy?
Right, so it's twofold. We're looking at having a schedule that will establish all of the areas that Tobago will have responsibility for in the Tobago space. As it relates to the national conversation and the national governance space, Tobago will still retain membership in the central government by virtue of having a minimum of 2 parliamentary representatives. That's in the first instance. Secondly, the bills also suggest, based on what Tobagonians said they wanted, that there should be some areas for concurrence, meaning that some areas of national interest, Tobago should be consulted. We should be part of the conversation. So it's not that Tobago is pulling itself out and just seeing about Tobago, and national issues will be left untouched. And some of the areas of concurrence will include areas like border security, international relations. Remember, I spoke to you in a previous episode about the possibility of a central government going and make a deal concerning use of maritime space and resources in Tobago waters without Tobago being part of the conversation. We will be part of all of these national conversations. We will still be in the national parliament. We will still have opportunities to be in central government. But this is about Tobago taking care of its priorities while the central government taking care of the priorities of Trinidad and Tobago.
We have our next question here. This person wants...
By the way, Jamal, you're still owing me cake, eh? Just saying, but go ahead.
This person wants to know, why is autonomy needed and how does it impact the average Tobagonian?
Right, I like that question. Let me tell you why. Because people think this autonomy thing is some distant, far-fetched concept that doesn't have any real impact on the man on the ground. But when you think about, for example, the things that affect us every day, from the state of our island's roads, to the fact that we want repairs to our schools, to the fact that we want to consider what goes into the curriculum for the teaching of our students, to the fact that we want to give certain protections to our fisher folk. For example, autonomy allows us to do those things unimpeded and to do them much more efficiently. So one can look forward to Tobago getting greater resources, greater financial resources, that Tobago being able to make decisions that affects everyday lives and livelihoods on the island of Tobago. And so the simple things that you take for granted, you could see expansion in terms of delivery and effectiveness in those areas with autonomy. So whether you're a school student, you could see for instance, a new teacher being able to really give some directions to what you're being taught in the classroom and how that is being taught. When it comes to the average person driving on the roads, you're looking at the fact that teacher will now have increased powers and the financial resources, so we could pave the roads faster, we could patch them holes there faster, we could handle all of these things in a much more efficient manner. So it actually impacts everyday living here in Tobago.
Okay, now this question has been asked repetitively in this space. Autonomy allows Tobago to shape its development, but how will the island maintain a cooperative relationship with the central government?
Well, in the same way that as a country, Trinidad and Tobago, we are a sovereign territory, but we have friends in other countries. We have existing excellent relationships with other countries. I don't see anything changing between Tobago and Trinidad in that regard. In the same way you go to the UK and you effortlessly travel between London and Cardiff, Wales, or Scotland, that is expected to continue. Greater autonomy doesn't mean that Tobagonians or Trinidadians will all of a sudden require a passport to travel to the next island. It doesn't mean that automatically the cost of the airfare will just go up, because we remain one country as a whole, and the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago will remain the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. It is just that when it comes to some priority areas for Tobago and Tobagonians, we will handle that ourselves, but it really does very little to impact the
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, viewers, it's Friday, it's the end of the week, and I just want to thank you all so much for joining us this morning to listen to the conversations that are happening in this space. Now, to all our loyal viewers, thank you so much for choosing Tobago Updates to start your morning on the right note. Now, I am your host, Luke James Strim, and before we get into the fun, I just have to give you the news in 90 seconds. So, Tobago Division Police report progress in reducing crime following the state of emergency declared on December 30th, 2024, with significant narcotics and firearm recoveries. ACP Oswin Subru highlighted successful detentions, charges, and operations targeting firearms and narcotics as key priorities for 2025. Plans also include bolstering resources for the tourism-oriented policing unit. However, Senior Superintendent Earl Eli raised concerns about youth involvement in crime, with children as young as 12 being recruited by gangs. He stressed the need for stronger community engagement and better parenting to deter young people from criminal activity. PNM Tobago Council leader, Mr. Ansel Dennis, denied claims of party implosion amid reports of divided MPs' support for Stuart Young as Dr. Keith Rowley's successor. 11 Member of Parliament backed Young, while 9 supported Ms. Penelope Beckles. Dennis emphasized the party's democratic process, calling the situation a transitional period with challenges but no instability. He highlighted the Prime Minister's contributions during his 45-year political career and assured that the PNM remains unified, focused on its responsibilities, and prepared for the future. Energy Minister Stuart Young and other members attended discussions at Balizé House to address ongoing party matters. President Christine Kangaloo was the chief guest for the 18th Purvasi Bharatiya Divas in India and received India's highest honor award for non-nationals contributing to the diaspora. In a virtual address, Kangaloo highlighted the Indian diaspora's vital role in Trinidad and Tobago and celebrated the 180-year bond between Trinidad and Tobago and India. She acknowledged the legacy of past honorees from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. The convention, with attendees from over 50 countries, focused on diaspora's contribution to Viksit Bharat and featured initiative by India's Prime Minister. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Now, viewers, politics is often described as the study of power, governance, and decision-making within a society. Now, at its core, politics really examines how power is distributed, contested, and used to influence or control the behavior of people and institutions. Now, the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, recently made an announcement to resign from office before the end of his legal tenure. This announcement opened the door for extensive commentary, not only on who might step into the role of Prime Minister, but also the processes and procedures involved to get there. Now, joining me this morning on Good Morning Tobago is former Minority Leader, Mr. Ashworth Jack. Mr. Jack, good morning. And how are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I am fine, thank you. And I must say it's a pleasure to finally have met you.
Yes.
We had a conversation on the phone a couple of months ago. And of course, as I came in, I had to comment that is the first time I've ever been interviewed on Tobago Update by a male figure. And then you actually told me who you were.
Yes.
It was interesting,
Now, Mr. Jack, this morning's conversation is going to be focused on politics. And I remember as a young boy growing up in Mount St. George, my grandfather and you, I would always overhear conversations between you all. Sometimes if you're stopping each other on the side of the road, I'm in the back seat listening. So give us some insight into your history of politics.
Well, it's interesting, that when I found out when you called me initially for some information, and I found out you were Jason's grandson. Because my history of politics has been widely known. I'll go back for as far back as 11 years old. I knew Jason at 11 because myself, a gentleman by the name of Jerry Ali, we were kind of Jason's understudy in learning to set up equipment for the then DAC. And Jason was always very protective of us as, I must say, as children, So the meetings that were too far from home, we weren't allowed to go to help to set up. And he made sure, though, that once we were out, that we got home and we got home safely. And if you know your grandfather very well, he was as kind as his temper was short.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was, once you got around, he would be very, very, very protective, And so people like Jason are the reason that I have done a lot of things that I've done, Sometimes at home when things go wrong, you're just able to do almost anything. I say, but we can't do. And it's because of the myriad of experiences that you have had in a number of areas, And I think that's one of the things that is missing in today's world, where elders take younger people under their arms and help them out, show them the ways of the world and stuff like that. People more advantage people now than help them.
Correct.
And I think that I long for the day. And I was seeing the news about young people getting into crime at as early as 11, 12. I mean, I had a big brother. My biggest brother was a police officer. His name was Talbot. He died a couple of years ago. And I told people probably my whole life, I never lie on the block. Because if my biggest brother passed and see you on the block, there was consequences to pay. So the issue of the African proverb of taking a village to grow a child was real. But in our generation, we are the ones that spoil that. We are the ones that start saying, don't hit my child, don't talk to my child, yours, mine, my child. But we grew up in a time where everybody in the village was responsible in some way for every child in the village. And I always tell people 2 pairs of eyes or 4 pairs of eyes is okay. But when you have 100 pairs of eyes, it's a totally different thing altogether. And we didn't have phones. But if you did something, by the time you got home, your parents already knew. And you want to know how did I running coming home? But yet the message got home before I got. And then so there was respect because you knew but there was also a tinge of fear because you knew the consequence of those kind of actions. But similarly, for persons who were well disciplined, there was a kind of respect that came from the elders in the village. You could have gone into the yard and climbed the fruit trees and that kind of stuff. With the loss of a lot of that, you find that, and of course with the over commercialization of everything, and with the advent of social media where people are seeing all the bling, as they call it, every little person have a chain that is 5 and 6 and stuff, and people who never work a day think that they're entitled to the same thing that people who have worked for 30 and 40 years. And parents not having that kind of time, I guess, at home, because everybody hustling, and then the extended family is no longer there, where you grow up in a yard with your grandmother, your aunt, but even if they're there, is it okay for them to correct the child? The child. So all those things have added to where we are, and I think that it is sad, but it's not, all is not lost, and there need to be not more than the police, because the police should really be the last resort. Last resort.
And Mr. Jack, first of all, I want to thank you for just bringing back memories of my grandfather. He was someone who was always passionate about bridging that gap between the youth and the elders. He always believed that when you have that transfer of knowledge, it really adds towards building a better village, and by extent a better island and country. And it's true. The youth now, they are getting involved in crime, maybe because it's glamorized, maybe because it seems as the easy way out. And Trinidad and Tobago, or crime rate, the issue of crime has been one that is a very heavy topic. It's something we're seeing every day. Just this morning, we are seeing unconfirmed reports of an attorney and her husband. They were recently murdered in Trinidad. And Mr. Jack, I want to get your perspective on the state of emergency. At the surface level, it seems as though as long as you're a law-abiding citizen, you shouldn't be affected. But it really comes down to question the effectiveness of the state of emergency. Do you think it's effective in any way?
Well, a number of things. To say that as long as you're a law-abiding citizen, you wouldn't be affected, it's a kind of play flippant disregard to what a state of emergency really is. A state of emergency is a suspension of your constitutional right. And we are talking about the issue of crime and stuff. And my question would be, is a state of emergency the only way to be able to deal with crime? It might be an effective way in a short term, in that you have the power of arrest, you have the power that is easily carried out. You have the issue of holding people more than the 48 hours. You have a situation where you don't need a search warrant to search your person or to search your premises or your vehicle and stuff like that. But what about people who may wish to abuse that? Because you can well have a situation where, and we know that in our society, people just don't like people for all kind of reasons. And therefore, there are people who can and will abuse that. And what we have to hope is that that is minimum. The minimum a number of persons who are doing that. I heard in the news item is saying that there were a number of firearms recovered, and I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. But the question is that the only way you could have recovered the firearm? Because if you have enough information, then you could have gotten the warrant and you could have executed the warrant. My concern will continue to be the fact that every citizen of this country is working without any constitutional right. You really do have a constitutional right, and I am concerned about that.
And it's right to be concerned, Mr. Jack, because we live in a society, we've seen it already in 2011, I think, when it was under Ms. Prasad-Bissessa's ruling. And that abuse of power would have cost the state so much money, because we have people now, they will want to sue because, like you said, there are some people who will use that power to abuse the whole intention of the state of emergency. And you also touched on a really important point, which is the intention behind using this SOE, because state of emergency is supposed to be something that is last resort, and now we are just seeing it. It was announced. We're now seeing a state of emergency. People panicked, but they are trying to give us the reassurance, okay, as long as you're not involved in crime, you shouldn't be worried. But like you rightfully mentioned, there are people who will abuse this state of emergency. Mr. Jack, and you also...
No, but before you go on to another topic, I was just going to say this. The issue of state of emergency sometimes is even abused by the people who put it in place. Because I don't know if you're old enough to know this, but there were, some years ago, a government declared a limited state of emergency around a former Speaker of the House premises in order to stop her from going to the house. In order for her to elect to declare her seat vacant and elect a new speaker because she wasn't doing what they wanted. I think that was Okasi Paul. They wasn't doing what they wanted to do. So they declared a state of emergency in the vicinity of her home and a curfew. So they couldn't leave. So we have to be very careful. You know, sometimes if we don't know the history of things, we tend to underplay it. But when you know the history, you know the danger that is associated with it, yeah, you know, you're very cautious in these matters.
Understood. And Mr. Jack, you would have noted that you observe firearms are being retrieved. We also have saw some narcotics being retrieved, but that's operating on the backdrop of everyone knows that Trinidad and Tobago has a very porous border control. So it comes like, okay, you're getting rid of the guns, you're getting rid of the drugs, but at the same time, more is coming in. Do you think that the state of emergency that's focused on to target these firearms and drugs while also having a very, very poor border control, do you think that it is warranted or it makes sense? Because it's just like I would have articulated with Mr. Martin George when I did an interview with him. It's very equivalent to trying to catch water with a strainer.
You know, I like the analogy. Yeah, and that's one thing about the Tobago vernacular. It's so rich.
It's rich, yes.
But let me just say this. I heard the issue of the state of emergency to deal with, but it just for me is putting a plaster on a sore. Because the state of emergency will come to an end. The borders will remain unprotected. Do you think that the criminals are living underground, so they're not here what's going on, and the criminals sometimes are in association or collusion with even persons who know the law better than us? And they just have to wait if they think that the state of emergency is the worst time to move your drugs, to move your arms and ammunition. They just lie low for a while, and then as the state of emergency finishes, because there is no border control, there's no there's all the things that applied before the state of emergency continue to operate post this state of emergency. So if your business is going to be affected that badly, you just have to wait. Just wait it out, because there are going to be questions. Is this effective? Is this efficient? Are we doing this is making sense? And stuff like that. And then, of course, you know, they have to go back to the parliament for an extension and stuff like that after 15 days, I think it is. Then you have to go to the parliament for an extension. Of course, you have the majority, or I think so, based on what's going on.
We'll get into that very soon.
So you will get an extension of your 30 days. But how long? How many extensions can you get? And then after that, what happens? Is it that, for me, I am not a law enforcement person, but common sense told me a couple of things. I was told, as part of the nation was told, that they knew who they were targeting. And that there was a state of emergency, and then they're going to put the measures in place. And I'm saying that if that was the case, and you knew exactly who you were targeting, once, a couple of things could happen. One, you could have gotten search warrants for those people. Two, let's say that you want to move quickly because you don't trust the system, that somebody will tell them that a search warrant is coming. When the state of emergency was being put in place, I would have thought that prior to that, you would have those persons you trust, the police officers and stuff, the senior persons, do all the planning. So the minute the state of emergency was declared, you could have moved immediately to search and do what you have to do. But if you wait until you declare this state of emergency, and then you announce, well, we know who we're going to search. Don't you think those same people know that they've been targeted? You know? So I was a little taken aback that is the approach that was taken, you know.
So Mr. Jack, with all that you said, are you of the opinion that the state of emergency was just mere theatrics to create the image or the optics that you know
that you're doing something
that the government is hard on crime?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, last year we have two very unfortunate situations. I call them on both islands. Tobago had its highest murder rate ever. And Trinidad has its highest murder rate ever.
Correct.
That says something. And I am not going to say that if the government can solve the problem of crime, that the government is part of the problem. I wouldn't say that. I leave that for the Prime Minister to say. At least when he was in opposition. But now we have the highest murder rate ever. And I'm saying, but what do the police to do? What do you want us to do? And I'm saying, if you don't intend to move to solve crime, then you don't have no need for a police service. I have no need for our government, have Minister of National Security and all that. I've looked at Jamaica is a case in point. I don't know if you have been looking at what have happened in Jamaica in 2024. The Prime Minister, in terms of the crime rate, the Prime Minister would have, and the government have implemented some changes in terms of how they approach crime detection and crime prevention. And Jamaica last year had a 20% reduction in murders and serious crimes, right? And that speaks to people who is moving. If I know this was the topic, I'll pull some answers. There are some islands in the Caribbean that went from very small murder rate to zero. I think about 3 or 4 of them. Some of them somewhere on the phone. So I'm saying it is not impossible. And of course, there are a couple who, like Barbados, had an increase in murder rates last year, stuff like that. But it is not impossible. Guyana had a reduction, St. Kitts Nevis had a reduction, I think Dominica, a couple of them have gone to zero. And so it is not impossible, but it calls for proper planning, it calls for proper mobilization, and it calls for adequate resources. And for me, it also calls for the kind of public interaction. Because that being said, parents, we have a responsibility also. Parents have to stop thinking that nobody could correct the children. I mean, I know teachers who are afraid to correct children in school. You know, and so it can't all be left to the government and to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It must be a holistic approach by the entire community, because the entire community is being affected by it.
Okay, Mr. Jack. So in terms of the state of emergency and crime reduction, we've identified all the problems. So I have to ask you, in your opinion, what do you think could be the possible solution?
As I said, this call for more than just a layman stuff, but it has a lot to do with how are all those social agents or the agents of socialization in our society being used. The churches is the churches just about tithes? Is the churches just about sowing a seed? How are they being used to spread the issue of non-violence? The community groups like the village council. Do we still have a situation where village councils think that the only use they have is to lock up the community center? Or is it that the community center, there's an encouragement for groups to use the community center and other community facilities as places to educate young people or to train young people? I am seeing a number of training programs being put on by the THA, and of course I also see some others, and that's another story. I don't agree, but that's another story. But the THA, and they're putting on a number of training programs. Are parents encouraging their children to avail themselves of those training opportunities? And now, when you have those people in a captive audience, are other things being used to explain to them the effect of crime, not only on the family that suffers it, but also on your family that now have to find money that they don't have for legal fees and stuff like that. Are parents really conscious that you don't really know your children as well as you think you know them? But I also say, I heard a parent say something the other day, is that you make a child, you don't make their mind. I think that's an excuse for lack of training. right? There are going to be deviants. There have always been deviants. But there are some children that suffers from neglect.
Right.
And that neglect is what pushes them to other places where we see now gang becoming the parents of some of these children. And of course, they have been recruited for all kinds of things. And if we look at the history of child soldiers, because that's what they'll become. They are soldiers for this gang. If we look at the history of child soldiers, it never goes well, because people think children are all that innocent, but the psychology says that they are impressionable, so that it's easier to get them to do things that a bigger person might be more afraid to do. So we have to, as a society, there have to be a lot more caring, a lot more reaching out. Especially to our young people and to our parents who might be not as fortunate and stuff like that. So I think that that needs to be part of it. We can't just think about the bling and stuff like that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jack, for that articulation. It was very, very thought-provoking. So we're going to take a quick break right now. And when we come back from the break, Mr. Jack, we'll be chatting a bit about the leadership in transition happening where the Prime Minister title is concerned. So viewers, just stick with us. Remember to share the live, and we'll be right back.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
Attention, members of TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Are you ready to take the next step and help shape your credit union's future? This is your chance to get involved. We're now accepting nominations for elections at our 75th Annual General Meeting 2025. Open positions include spots on the Supervisory Committee, the Board of Directors, and the Credit Committee. Nomination packages are available on our website www.twcu.co.tt, or you can pick one up at our Port of Spain or Tobago offices. The completed forms can be dropped off at the said offices or emailed to nominations@twcu.co.tt no later than January 17th, 2025 at 3 p.m. For more information, visit our website at www.twcu.co.tt. Don't miss this opportunity to make a difference. Apply today and guide the future of your credit union. TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Our credit union, one family.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood. or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Alright, viewers, welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and I'm here chatting with former minority leader, Mr. Ashwood Jack. Now, Mr. Jack, the entire nation would have heard the Prime Minister's announcement to resign from office before the end of his legal tenure. And the announcement, everyone started questioning, well, who's going to be the next Prime Minister? What's going to happen in terms of leadership where the People's National Movement Party is concerned? And we are hearing in this space that some people are branding the Prime Minister's intention to resign as unconstitutional. So I want to get your opinion. Do you think it's unconstitutional where the laws of Trinidad and Tobago are concerned, or is it unconstitutional where the party's constitution is concerned?
No, and the issue of the Prime Minister resigning cannot be unconstitutional. The Prime Minister have individual rights like anybody else in the country. What is ticklish about it is that the Prime Minister have signaled his intention to resign as Prime Minister, but not as political leader of the party. And let me explain why that is ticklish. The Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, as it relates, I think it's Section 62, as it relates to the appointment of a Prime Minister, is a little ticklish, in that it says that the leader of the political party, in the opinion of the president, the leader of the political organization that commands the majority of support, shall be named Prime Minister.
Correct.
In this case, because he remains as political leader, he is the person who, don't care how you turn it, cut it, dice it, the president legally have to appoint as Prime Minister, but he's resigning and said, look, I don't want to be. So I think that when you saw, or when you're seeing now rumors of a letter been circulated, I think that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to circumvent that by saying, yes, this is the political leader, but these people have all signed to say, we support these people, so we have the numbers. Other than that, how is the president going to appoint a Prime Minister? I think that is where the problem lies. And when we were doing over Act number 40 of 1996, Mr. Robinson, in his wisdom, would have looked at, we have looked at all those things and decided we didn't want that to be a situation that Tobago finds itself.
Okay.
And that's why I'm such a fierce defender of how Tobago autonomy is handled, because you don't want to have a situation where you erode some of the gains, because in the case of Tobago is a lot more advanced in leadership transition than Trinidad.
Okay.
And that is because Tobago does not have strictly a Westminster style administration. And let me explain that. The first thing first, we need to understand that a chief secretary is not elected at the polls. A prime minister is actually elected at the polls, based on the fact that the Constitution says, in the opinion of the president, the leader of the party that commands the majority support in the House shall be Prime Minister. In the Tobago House of Assembly case, the Chief Secretary is elected on the first day of this, which is the swearing in, the first session, after an election. So that is where members are sworn in and those appointments are made. And the Chief Secretary is elected by every elected member of the House on that day. So you can be the leader, and we saw it in Tobago, where Mr. Duke was the leader of the PDP, but Chief Secretary Fali Augustine was elected Chief Secretary. I mean, that might have been by consent, but it is very similar. it is very similar because the Prime Minister is saying, I want to go, but the only thing that is might be a little ticklish is because there's a division, it means that he did not get the consensus of all the members. He was espousing his views that this is who I want.
Okay.
And that is what makes this a little challenging, because this is an individual taking away the democratic right from the rest of the members and saying, I want you. What is ticklish about this is that the government have a 2-seat majority. And so it means that if 2 or 3 people decide that I don't agree with this, even if the president appoints this person, those 3 people or anybody can then file a motion of no confidence in the person elected as Prime Minister. The only danger of that, I think, that the people in that organization, the PNM, is afraid of, is that if you do that, the person remains Prime Minister for another 3 years, just like happened, and that person can dissolve the House and call an a snap election. And of course, once you did that, then you're out. You would not be selected. And I think a lot of people are afraid to lose their ministerial portfolios and stuff like that. In the case of the Tobago House of Assembly, that cannot be done. The Chief Secretary doesn't have the right to call an early election. The House can only be dissolved by a vote by the entire House. You have to have a sitting of a substantive motion, and the House can dissolve itself. And that is where the Tobago situation is a lot more advanced and a lot more democratic than that is happening in the Parliament, where no individual in Tobago can get up and say, I've vexed with all you. Dissolving the House. We saw it in 2010, where a lot of ministers were mad with then Prime Minister Manning for dissolving the House because they thought that he affected them economically and all that. But in the case of the Tobago House of Assembly, the Chief Secretary doesn't have that power. The Chief Secretary will have to bring a motion to the House. The majority of members must support the motion, and that is the only way the House is dissolved. So in the case of Trinidad, where if there's a vote of no confidence and the Prime Minister have the 2 or 3 days to resign, Prime Minister can then dissolve the House before the 2 or 3 days because he's still Prime Minister. And then everybody's out in the cold. So I think that is one of the biggest fears that some of these ministers who might not agree has, that 1, the House is going to be dissolved, they will lose a couple months of pay, and 2, because they are going against the party, or the leadership of the party, they would not be selected as candidates. And of course, it means that they can't go back to the House or maybe even the Senate.
And Mr. Jack, that situation is a very interesting one. One, because we are anticipating elections this year and probably next year for THA elections.
Between this year and next year for THA and this year for the central government.
Correct. And 2, the PNM has always been known as a party. They always have that image of unity and loyalty. And now that the public is seeing this sort of division where the transition of leadership is concerned, it's very telling. Because I'm not sure if you pay attention to the media and the trends in the media, it seems as though, as a citizen looking at it, it seems as though, okay, Mr. Stuart Young, he may have been the Prime Minister's pick. Whoever MPs are loyal to the Prime Minister may rally around him. But when you listen to the public and, what the people are saying, a lot of people seem to be rallying around Miss Penelope Beckles. They assume that she should be the leader or the next Prime Minister. And Mr. Jack, in terms of politics and parties and people seeing this type of division, do you think that it will affect the way people will vote when elections come?
Well, maybe when people are aggrieved, people a lot of times people do what is in their best interest. But in terms of who becomes the Prime Minister, and everybody knew from day one that Stuart Young was the Prime Minister's boy, that he was a choice. And once you start seeing a couple things happening, where Colin had stopped acting as Prime Minister in the absence of the Prime Minister, and Stewart was put to act, then you realize that it was a grooming situation taking place. And there's nothing wrong with that, yeah? There's nothing wrong with you saying, I think this person has the ability, so I'm grooming them to be. But the final say, well, it doesn't belong to you, right? And once the final say doesn't belong to you, then what you can do is make a suggestion. That being said, I don't want to spend my time discussing the internal workings of the organization. They go work that out. One way or the other, they will work that out. What I am concerned about is the effect that it has on the population. And that is, to me, that is it that this person is the most competent person in the government? And if that is the case, then you tell me the government hardly have any competent people, because he was Minister of National Security. We see what happened there. Ministry of Energy, we see what happened there. So it is not that this is a case of outstanding competence, but it might be a state of comfort. You know, when the salary stuff came up, and a lot of people asking me, you know, what is your view on this salary thing? And I laugh. They say, why are you laughing? I say, the Prime Minister is about to go home. They say, but why would you say that? I said, the Prime Minister is about to go. I say, I bet you not my last dollar. Prime Minister is about to go. They say, why? I said, because the Prime Minister's salary is his pension. I said, if I am making $87,500 a month as pension, why would I want to be fighting up and work every day to make the same $87,500? That doesn't make any sense. And of course, there was a hefty back pay. And of course, the Prime Minister has been a member of Parliament for quite a while, unbroken, probably about 15, 20 years unbroken. And therefore, he's entitled to his gratuity as everybody else is. And because of the length of time, it's going to be a couple $1 million well. So why would I fight up? And the Prime Minister is not young. Prime Minister is a 75-year-old man. Prime Minister deserve some me time, some family time, as he said. You know, but so as I saw it, I laughed. I said, this is thing. But I also want to say something else, you know, on that. The preparation for this transition, if you're a student of politics, you could have seen it more than a year and something ago. When there was a change in law, I think it's more than a year for sure, a couple of years ago, where there was a change in law that allows ministers and stuff, salaries to be hinged to the cost of living differential, where when there's an increase in salary for sitting ministers, there's an increase in pension for former ministers. That in itself would have said something to you that. But I also want to say this. It is not a situation that is untenable. And I like to be very fair. Mr. Charles have been lauded as a fantastic chief secretary and all that. But when Mr. Charles was chief secretary, the salary of a chief secretary, I think, was $11,000. So it means that Mr. Charles would have gone home with a pension of about
$5,500. Understood.
You understand? So, and if you look at the number of ministers in Trinidad who would have served at a certain time when that kind of salary was a minister's salary and stuff like that, and they really can't live. There will be situations where people who are clerk, probably 2s and 3s, are making much more pension than they. But we also have to take into consideration there are former public officers who are suffering the same thing, where sometimes a senior citizen grant recipient is making more pension than some former public officers because of the time that they retired. You know, so it's a kind of chicken and egg situation. But it was obvious that was coming, and so anybody, any good student of politics should have been preparing for that. This was bound to happen.
All right, Mr. Jack, understood. And I just want to ask you, in terms of Dr. Rowley's strategy to resign before the elections, before the end of his tenure, what do you see that making a pathway for? Because when you listen to some students of politics, they are calling it's history. It's something that is that should be followed. It also quote-unquote pressures the opposition leader, which is Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, I think it's showing the public that while one older head is willing to give up the power, there's the next one who's clinging on to it. What are your thoughts on those?
I'm very careful with aging, with categorizing people by age for a reason. A lot of times we just say, well, a younger person take it. But it's a necessary level of exposure and experience and stuff. It's a country running, right? I think that the Prime Minister have an individual position where the Prime Minister said, I am going to resign. Obviously, when the Prime Minister first touted the issue of Stuart Young being his successor, there was upheaval within the PNM. Say, no, you can't pick our... And now you're seeing it playing out.
Playing out, yes.
But I think the reason the Prime Minister held on to the position of political leader is that nobody could touch Stuart in the period, that, at least until September. So it gives them enough time to go to a poll and to see if Stuart could win at the polls. So it is not that it's groundbreaking. It is strategic on his part to get the person that he wants to be Prime Minister in. It's a simple strategic position. Yes, for the next couple of months, he would not get the Prime Minister pension because he'll still be a member of Parliament. And therefore, he will still be paid as a member of Parliament. But it's a couple of months. So why I can't wait out 2 months, 3 months, 5 months? Understood. But it is strategic. It is very strategic to say, this is who I want. And I am going to show you that this person can perform. And therefore, let me make the room. I'll be still there to groom, to guide, because there'll be a Prime Minister in name and then there'll be a Prime Minister in power. I am convinced that Mr. Ori will still be the Prime Minister in power. Once you're still in the Parliament, once you're still the leader of the party, of course, you will, the leader of the party is who sets the dictates as to where the government goes.
Well, Mr.
It is unusual. It is unusual that the Prime Minister will resign and stay in the Parliament. But as I said, you already have a small majority. If the Prime Minister resigns in order to make, from the Parliament, to make this constitutional change easy, well, then it means that they only have a one-seat majority. What does that mean? It means that no minister can fall sick or no member of Parliament can fall sick when a motion that called for a simple majority is being debated in the House. The opposition is going to hold it to ransom all the time. So you already have a small, minister have to travel and work and stuff like that. So you already have a small majority. So that, I think strategically, the Prime Minister knows that he cannot leave the Parliament. They're not ready immediately to do election, but all these points on election will be sooner rather than later.
Mr. Jack, unfortunately, we are out of time this morning. You know, I always like to tell management when we're having conversations like these, I really wish we could get 2 hours, but you know, one can only wish. But Mr. Jack, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Good Morning Tobago. The conversation was a very, very thought-provoking one. You know, as a young person, I love when I'm getting the knowledge, I'm hearing the difference in perspectives, because I can assure you the perspective you have and the perspective we have in the youth space is 2 different perspectives. So it's always good to hear that differentiating opinions. So, Mr. Jack, I want to thank you once again. Viewers, we have reached the end of...
Let me, before you wrap, if it's okay, let me just take the opportunity to wish the people of Tobago and in particular, and Trinidad and Tobago in general, and all the persons who are listening to us on the World Wide Web, season greetings for an extremely healthy, thought-provoking, and productive 2025.
Okay, nice. All right, Mr. Jackson, I want to join you. Thank you for joining us this morning. It was an excellent conversation. I look forward to more conversations like these. All right, viewers, thank you so much for joining us here on Good Morning Tobago. For those of you who are going to have fun this weekend, please be safe. We're going to see you all back here next week, Monday. And thank you once again for choosing Tobago Updates to start your morning on the right note. Take care.